Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of You Must Be Bored podcast. If you found your way to this tiny little crevice of the internet, then you truly have run out of things to watch, listen to, read, or otherwise amuse yourself with, and you find yourself irreparably bored. You must be bored if you find yourself here, but hey, I'm glad that you're here. Welcome aboard. I am Devin, the host of this podcast in this little area of the internet. On a Monday, August 18th, 2025. And I am recovering from one hell of a weekend. I'm an old man now, so I have to remember these things whenever I fire up the grill or try to do recipe. Something that I might find on TikTok or Instagram that I'm like, ooh, that looks interesting. I'm going to try that out. That's not what happened this time. This time I just wanted to grill something, so I did. And I did in a little bit different way. I've never actually had, prior to this weekend, I've never had a pork steak. I've had pork chops, but I've never had a pork steak. But the grocery store nearby had a special on them. And they also do this thing where they have like coupons where you buy some item and then you get, a couple of other things free. I said, I'm hearing it. I'm clocking it every time now. But, what they had last time was they had the pork steaks and they had a sauce, a kind of a pork steak sauce, like an A1 for pork that went with it. And that was being given away free with the purchase of the pork steak. And I had a free sample because, they had free samples there. I know I did it again. I've clocked it. That's twice so far. They had free samples and I like free samples and I wanted to try it because it smelled good. And it was delicious. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do this. I never had a pork steak before, aside from that little sample. I'm going to try it. So this past weekend, I fired up my grill. It was the first grill of the summer, actually, which kind of shocked me. Summers used to be so much more to me. I'm a summer baby. I'm a summer kid. My birthday is in early June. And honestly, that's for a kid, that's like the best. That's the best because you get through the drudgery of the school year, and the first thing that ushers in 3 months of freedom. For us, it was 3. I don't know what it is for kids now, but for us, it was 3 months. It was June, July, and most of August. I think we went back to school maybe the last week of August or the first week of September. But I mean, either way, it was a huge chunk of time off in the middle of the summer. And after trudging through a school year, the first official thing to ring in the summer for me was my birthday, which is awesome because it's like, hey, happy birthday. It's a big celebration. Well, not really. I didn't have that many friends, but it was a celebration. And then, boom, the summer. I don't have to go back to school. I grew up on a tropical island, and actually, I'm on one aside, starting off from my pork steak story. I'm going to go to a little brief different aside from this. I'm actually been talking with a friend of mine. I really wish I could get her on the stream, but she used to stream a while ago and had a really bad experience with shitty dudes on the internet, which is a problem. I wish I could get her to talk because she's a phenomenal artist and she's been doing some really great paintings and posting them on her TikTok. And I told her, I was like, I want to commission a piece from you because I'm like right now I kind of live like a psychopath. Like, I have art on my wall here in the office, and you guys see it whenever I stream on the Ye Old Nerdcast YouTube and Twitch channel. For those of you that might be here from other mechanisms, welcome. I do stream on Twitch at Ye Old Nerdcast and YouTube by the same name. But you see all the art and stuff on the walls behind me in this room, but I haven't decorated my living room yet, really. So I need to get my living room going. And I've been seeing a lot of her really awesome art, and I want to commission her to do some stuff so I can hang on my wall. And I was thinking, because she's been doing, I think it's pronounced gouache. Help me out here, Google. How do you pronounce that? How do you pronounce it? Help me out here.
Gouache.
Okay, she's been doing like a lot of really cool gouache paintings. So I've been telling her, I was like, I want something to hang on my wall. Trying to figure out what I actually want led me to thinking about, because she's been doing a lot of like scenery, mostly marshlands and swamps or rivers and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, nature based, because she has amazing command of color in this respect. So I was like, well, what kind of nature would I like to see? And it hit me. I want images of Okinawa, Japan, because I grew up there. All my awesome summers were Okinawan summers. So school lets out. I have my birthday. Go outside. It's hot as hell. It's tropical. The beach is right there. The pool is right there. Go off base and go to the comic shop or go get yakisoba or go to the open air Okinawan mall. It was awesome. It was an incredible childhood experience like none other. Which is why I want my friend to do the
Gauche
paintings of Okinawa for me to put on my living room wall. So here in a bit, I'm actually going to pop over my Instagram. There are a couple of Okinawa photographer accounts that I follow there. I'm going to see if I could get some pictures that I might want her to do recreations of. But at any rate, yeah, that's what summer was for me. And it was awesome. It was awesome. It was so much fun. Every now and then, my parents would put me in a summer camp, and that was always kind of lame. But, it wasn't the worst in the world. There was still a lot of, hanging out with my friends. That's 3 times, as far as I can tell. Hanging out with my friends, playing basketball, going to the pool, lots of going to the pool. Not as much going to the beach, although that happened from time to time too. It was just always easier to go to the pool because the pool was on base and within walking distance. But there was just so much stuff to do, and it was so much fun. Didn't have to worry about anything. There wasn't any worry about school. There wasn't any worry about work. There wasn't any worry about bills. Wasn't any worry about going homeless or anything crazy like that. And in my adult life, it's just been, all of that has just been so fucking evaporated to a depressing extent. Like, the summer is almost over. I guess technically, maybe not for us in Texas. This shit's gonna last for a while, temperature-wise. But the spirit of the summer is almost over, and it took till mid to late August for me to get the first grill going, the first grill of the season. And that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And I haven't done any of the stuff that I mean, first of all, my year was already cannonballed by losing my job at the very start of it. So I got hired at the place I'm at now May 12th. And I hit the ground running and haven't really stopped running since. I'm kind of entering burnout phase, so I need to really start looking at PTO and vacation. I'm very fortunate that I get that offer. Get that option, but my summer was just a nonstop blaze of that, and I miss just not having to worry about that sort of stuff. I think that's why, in addition to just the beautiful scenery, I think that's why I want the
Gauche
paintings of Okinawa on the living room wall, so that I always have those there to just look at and be like, oh man, those were the days. And one of these days I will go back to Okinawa. It's on my list of places to visit. So I feel, man, and I would do it sooner rather than later if I felt more comfortable about international travel under this fucking administration. But I feel like I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We might have to wait and see. For now, all of my Okinawa vacationing might have to take place by way of a
Gauche
painting. So we'll see. At any rate, first grill of the summer, I decided to slap those pork steaks up on there. They were well seasoned. I even put a little bit of that pork steak sauce on there while they were on the grill so that could cook into the meat, get that nice smoky aroma in that seasoned sauce. Had some charo beans with it, and I put together a pretty decent plate, and I got to tell you, they were fucking delicious. They were amazing. They were big too. I ate one because one was more than plenty. The sauce itself was maybe a little too salty. I probably should have used a lot less than I did, but I mean, it was still fucking amazing. That's not the problem. The problem started, I guess, maybe a little later that night when I felt the start of a really bad GERD/acid reflux pump up in my chest. And at first I just kind of, brushed it off like, oh man, okay, so maybe I ate too much of that sauce. Maybe it was too salty or too spicy. It wasn't really spicy, but there's some spices in there that aren't agreeable with me, but all right. pressure from the stomach coming up into my chest. That sucks. But I'm going about my business. I'm doing what I do. And I did. And I went to sleep that night perfectly fine. And I woke up Saturday morning in more pain than I could have ever imagined. I had probably like 10 tons of stuck gas in the upper part of my body. Now, getting gas is no big deal if it's in like your intestines or whatever and you're just farting your ass off. That's no big deal. I don't mind that. I can fart, whatever. Yeah, I mean, at least it gets out of you. But when it's up in your chest and you've got no way to like expunge it, it is so incredibly painful and uncomfortable. I was in a lot of pain. And the worst part about it is it's up in areas like you get gas in your intestines. That's no big deal. Your intestines are used to stretching to push out shit and all of that. It's nothing. Your intestines are like 2 miles long or some shit that's condensed into your body. You can take it. Well, not 2 miles, but actually, how long are intestines? I've heard urban legends about that. How long are when stretched out? 22 feet. Yeah, I've heard people say fucking miles and shit. It's like, no, that doesn't sound right. 22 feet's still a lot, but yeah, if they could squash and stretch for 22 feet, then having a lot of gas in there, it might be uncomfortable, but it's not going to cause residual pain. The problem when it's up in like your chest and your back and shit is that area of your body is not meant for stretching like that. It's not meant to contain things that wasn't intended to be there. So it hurt. It hurt a lot. And I was just trying, like, I couldn't sit up for most of the day without being in incredible amounts of pain. At some point, I got up and forced myself to walk around, start doing stretches to try to move it around places. And probably around 4 p.m., it started to, like, dissipate. I took a Gas X too. It started to dissipate a bit, and now it's pretty much all gone. But the issue I'm dealing with now, and it was not fun. Like, it was not fun to expunge it. Makes it sound like it eventually moved through when it farted out or something, but no, that's not what happened. I mean, a lot of it came out from me burping, honestly, but most of it just dissipated and, I don't know, just evaporated in my body somewhere. It was kind of scary. I'd rather know I farted it out or something than have it just kind of lurk. But the real problem right now is my body is still recovering from that, because your upper body is generally not meant to like take that kind of pressure. So I'm really actually pretty sore. At some point in the day on Saturday, it got up into my shoulders. I don't know how, like right by my neck and stuff. And it hurt, yes, and it was very uncomfortable, and there wasn't a whole lot I can do about it when that happened. But now my shoulders are just sore, and they feel sore the way they would feel sore after like working out for the first time in a long time. So I'm dealing with that right now, and honestly, I should just try to go to that. There's a massage school here in town. You can get like a 1 hour full body massage for like $50 or something. It's a pretty good deal because they're all students and stuff. I should probably do that and try to get my muscles that have been abused by that stuck gas loosened up a little bit. But I'm dealing with that right now. And I didn't help myself because on Sunday, I felt great. I woke up feeling great on Sunday because a lot of that pain had gone away. And I finally got a decent amount of sleep. But there was stuff I wanted to do on Saturday that I didn't, so I had to get it done Sunday. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. I've got a lot of branches and bushes and tree branches and bushes and stuff I needed to trim so my goddamn HOA would stop finding me for having an unkempt front yard. So I got out there and I did all that, and it was hot as hell. It was like 105 degrees, and I'm sitting out here chopping down branches and shit. It was a lot. I just burped. I'm still burping. I guess maybe it didn't all residually go away. But I did that, and I was happy to have done that. But it wasn't until shortly after I was done and I chilled for a bit that I realized, oh, my body even though I feel a hell of a lot better, my body is still in recovery from that, because parts of it was being forced to stretch in ways that like it hadn't in a long time, or maybe it never had before, because it's an internal organ somewhere that, or an internal muscle that doesn't really ever get exercised that way. So I'm kind of recovering from that still a little bit. That was a rough weekend. I tell you, that was a rough weekend there, fellas. I wasn't very enthused by that, and I made a big batch of that barbecue too, because the idea was to just kind of eat off of it throughout the coming days, but it's sitting in there in my fridge like a fucking threat now. I don't know what I'm going to do. It was incredibly delicious, and I really would like to eat it, but man, I'm traumatized from it, so I don't know if I'm going to ever tempt that fate again. I may have to package it up and maybe hand it to some homeless person or something. Although I would feel really bad if I gave some homeless person that pork steak and they ended up dealing with the same issue that I am, only they don't have easy access to over-the-counter medication that helped me go through it. So, I don't know. These are the trials and tribulations of life in a first world country, even though it's actually kind of a third world country that's collapsing, but we're neither here nor there on that. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about, switching gears here. There's been this controversy over George R.R. Martin, kind of, and I say kind of because it's not anything that he did, right? This was something that like happened at him, I guess. So I guess what happened, and George R.R. Martin, of course, famous author, Song of Ice and Fire, adapted into the Game of Thrones series on HBO. He's become something of a, I don't know what the word is, heel? Not really heel, but a little bit of a heel to, basically to annoying nerds, he's a heel. To everybody else, he's just, all right, whatever. But to annoying nerds who live and breathe their fandoms, he's become something of a heel because he completely and totally refuses, I guess, to work on or release the last two books of the Song of Ice and Fire series, Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring. And at this point, it's people are pretty much accepted that those two books aren't going to come out. That's pretty much the common accepted belief. Even though he doesn't outright say that he's not going to release them, he still talks about them in terms of things that he's working on. But the animus from the nerd community towards him has increased in, I guess, ferocity over the past few years as as the books continue to not come out, basically. So here is what happened with him. I guess just a couple days ago or a day ago, and I'm reading this off of Screen Rant. George R.R. Martin confronted about the Winds of Winter at Worldcon 2025. George R.R. Martin's appearance at Seattle Worldcon 2025 soured when a reader confronted him about the Winds of Winter during a panel, telling the author he's, quote, not going to be around for much longer, before asking if there was any possibilities of someone else, like fellow panelist Brandon Sanderson, finishing the book. Ooh, I feel a way about that in particular because it's a little ironic, I guess, that Brandon Sanderson was a co-panelist of his, because Sanderson was the author that picked up and finished off the Wheel of Time series after Robert Jordan passed away. And he's gotten acclaim from how he brought Wheel of Time to a conclusion. And he's managed to springboard off of that to launch his own fantasy series, the Stormlight Chronicles. I've read half of the first one of those books, The Way of Kings. And I have to tell you, the only reason why I read half is because that was all I can get through before I had to put it away. I did not like the writing. And it makes sense to me that he was the one that was chosen to finish Robert Jordan's series, because It was also really, it was also hard for me to read Wheel of Time. I'm going to be honest with you. Those types of fantasy epics, and especially the way that Jordan and Sanderson, their particular writing style, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't a fan of Way of Kings and all the weird, too many characters. And this is hilarious criticism considering that I am a fan of Game of Thrones. But for Way of Kings, there was a lot of characters that I couldn't super get into. I didn't know what the fuck they were doing. There was a guy that was running around with a ladder, I guess, and like his job was to put ladders over ravines, and I couldn't figure out for the. And then there was like I don't know, it was weird. It was a while ago before since I read it, but I gave it the college try, and it just did not fill any need for me. I tell people who they talk to me. I said again, they talk to me about fantasy books and recommendations, etc., and then they'll ask me about Way of Kings. I'll tell them straight up, hey man, if you haven't read Kingkiller Chronicle yet, and it's really ironic to bring Kingkiller Chronicles into this, since the author Patrick Rothfuss is in his own George R.R. Martin type situation where he has a 3-book series in the Kingkiller Chronicles. The first one being called The Name of the Wind. The second one being called, I can't remember what the second one was called. But the first 2 books are out, and it's been a while since that second one was out. And people were getting on his ass about, hey, when's that third one coming out? I think NBC was even in talks with adapting the books into a show. Music plays a big role in it, since the lead character, Kvoth, I think that's how you pronounce it, but who knows? He's a musician, so I think they had Lin-Manuel Miranda was on deck to like write the music for it and shit. But then that went nowhere because the series was unfinished, and people were wondering, and like they were starting to hound him the way they hound George R.R. Martin now, and the dude just fucking, I don't know if he still is even writing it, but I know he streams on Twitch now. He like became a full-time fucking Twitch streamer at this point. So kind of funny that I recommend another unfinished series to people that are looking for something to tide them over while they're waiting for their first unfinished series to come to completion. But at any rate, kind of amusing that he was sharing this panel with Sanderson, though. And somebody actually posited the idea of Sanderson finishing his book. But that's kind of a crazy thing, though, to just be like, hey, man, hey, your ass gonna die soon. Your ass gonna die. Why don't you let that motherfucker over there finish your shit? You fat old man. You fat old fuck. You about to die. Well, what are you doing here? Hey, George, what's your heart rate at right now? You ain't looking too good, man. Why don't you hand it off to Brandon? It's just fucking crazy, dude. The balls of this guy. The footage of the panel was shared on YouTube. Oh, there's footage of it? Hold on a second.
But here's the thing. George, you're not going to be around for much longer. And
Jesus.
And this is a tough question that I wanted to ask. This is more...
Damn, hold on a second.
Scorsese to hopefully adapt Sophia and have me be the next Lily Gladstone. But
Wait, what did she say?
But I have a genuine fantasy-related question. So, as you can see, I have a Berserk tattoo. Kentaro Miura, who's no longer with us.
Berserk?
Yeah.
Why is she bringing Berserk in? Oh, well, yeah, okay. Oh my god. She started from Berserk. Damn. What the fuck? Is this lady gonna kill George R.R. Martin? Damn, she went to fucking Kentaro Murai. She was like, hey, this motherfucker died before he finished his series. You look like you're on the way out. Damn, alright, well, okay. Kentaro Murai did pass away before finishing Berserk. He shared the details of his plan of the story and all of that with his best friend, whose name I forget, but a year after he passed away, the publishers of Berserk allowed his best friend, whose name I forget, to continue the story of Berserk in Kentaro Murai's absence. So, and I need to catch up on that actually, but Berserk is being worked on by a successor. Yes, that's a thing that is happening. Or has happened or is happening. I don't know if Berserk actually finished yet or not. But shit, man, you're you're reeling the fist back. You're cocking the fist back pretty far to clock him on the jaw with this one if you got to start from the standpoint of Kentaro Mirai.
And I'm part of the Martin Scorsese school, so I'm running into Martin Scorsese to hopefully adapt Sophia and have me be the next Lily Gladstone. But here's the thing, George, you're not going to be around for much longer. And this is a tough question that I wanted to ask. This is more.
Oh, the panelist is like, what the fuck? Or not the panelist, the moderator or host of this panel or whatever. He's looking around like, what the fuck? Hey, what should I do? What should I do? I think he's trying to signal to like, get her mic, get her out of here. Hey, get her out of here.
More directed at Brandon. No. Wait, I was wondering, like, how would you feel about someone else taking over and finishing the books? Yeah.
Not me.
Not you. Yes. I hope so.
Wait, so the person filming that was the one that was asking the questions? Her comments are turned off. I can't imagine why. Comments are turned off and there isn't a single like on this video. If I had that extension to show dislikes, I'm pretty sure it'd be pretty out of control. That's fucking crazy, man. Imagine the balls. Look, I'm a fan of A Song of Ice and Fire, all right? And I want those books to get finished too. I want them to be finished too. If he doesn't finish it, I'm okay with that. It doesn't get finished. All right. You know what else wasn't finished? Firefly. And there was a lot of people, obviously, if anyone remembers that show, way back in the day that were banging the drums to finish Firefly, bring back Firefly, bring back Firefly, bring back Firefly. And I was one of those guys for a little while. But at a certain point, it hit me that Firefly is actually more unique in its current unfinished state. I don't want them to bring it back. I kind of like how it is now. It's like a snapshot in time. And I feel like bringing it back would just kind of do a disservice to what it actually means and stands for and represents now. So I'm okay with that. And if A Song of Ice and Fire has to be that way too, then so be it. I feel like he has probably written enough of Winds of Winter, at least, for it to be finished by someone else and released. I don't know about Dream of Spring. But he's been putting chapters of Winds of Winter on his live journal or his website or whatever for years now at this point. And I've read them and it sounds awesome. So I would be okay if that happened, if someone finished that book and then just left Dream of Spring on the shelf or whatever, or on the cutting room floor, I guess it would be. But at the same time, I would also be okay if neither of them came out. Because it's not ultimately that big of a deal. He's already had an incredible impact on the fantasy realm. He's had an incredible impact in film and television even. As far as I'm concerned, his work is done. Like, his work is done, really. And it's not his fault that season 8 fucking sucked. Well, I guess you could say it probably is in the sense that he didn't finish those books, but hey, you know what? You know what? You do what you got to do. You do what you got to do, and you work with what you're working with. So I'm okay. I'm willing to just brush the series off as complete in its current state. But if I ran into the guy and I had a chance to talk to him about it, I would just be like, how do you really feel about finishing it? Like, sometimes you don't need to finish a thing. Sometimes you don't need to cross that finish line. Sometimes you can just stop. Is that how you're feeling? Are you feeling like you've done enough with this world? Does it mean something a little bit more finite to you? Because like that happens too to a creative who becomes incredibly attached to something that they've been ruminating on for years and years and decades, especially once you creep into your elder years, I imagine, where the finality of finishing your magnum opus work kind of has like a eulogy of your life. It kind of reads like a eulogy of your life purpose, right? where it's like, well, I'm done with that. Nothing left for me to do on Earth but die now. Which makes it particularly gruesome that someone would just be like, hey, you're not going to be around much longer, bruh. So I understand if that would be it too, and I would like to have a candid conversation with him about that sort of thing. But I have no smoke for the guy for not finishing the series. Zero smoke. I couldn't, I mean, again, I'm not going to say I couldn't care less, but I'm pretty close to that point. It's been years since I read a Dance with Dragons. It's been years since Game of Thrones aired. Although, I mean, they have House of the Dragon, and he's writing side stories and stuff like that, so he's not completely out of the world of it. I don't know. I guess I just kind of maybe I have this take because I long since given up on the idea that it was ever actually going to come out, and now that I see all of this vitriol in reaction to him, I feel like other people are starting to reach that conclusion too, and their coping mechanisms with it is a lot less healthy than mine. The internet has been quick to rally behind George R. R. Martin on the r/freefolk thread sharing the full video of the panel. People were disappointed to see Martin treated this way at Worldcon. Commenters noted that the panel was hard to watch, with some questioning why the author would even want to deliver his long-awaited sequel anymore. An ex-post recapping the incident received similar comments, with many disgusted by the behavior Martin is often faced with. It's a relief to see pockets of the internet and Seattle Worldcon attendees rallying behind Martin, as this sort of controversy happens too frequently, both with and without the author present. In discussions surrounding The Winds of Winter, readers too often overlook or ignore the fact that Martin is a human being first and deserves to be treated as such. Unfortunately, as many fans are noting, readers feel entitled to the author's next books. This can blur the bounds. All that other stuff. Yeah, I saw that and was like, I hadn't seen that YouTube thing until just now, though. That's pretty wild. Pretty wild that she went all the way back to Berserk to try to make that point. There's got to be a more, I guess maybe that's the thing. Like, I was gonna say there's got to be a more elegant way to ask that question, but people have been asking him about this for years and years, and I guess maybe this person thought the only way to break through was to be as crass and as inconsiderate and as disrespectful as possible. If that's the thinking, then I don't know. I guess maybe mission accomplished. There are all these write-ups about it now. I read that at Screen Rant. There's a write-up about it on Collider. There's one on comicbook.com. Obviously, there's one on Winter is Coming. Fandom Wire has a write-up. Geek Wire has a write-up. I mean, all of these dorky outlets have latched onto it for sure. So, hey, maybe she knew what she was doing. Maybe she knew what she was doing when she decided to be a fucking unrepentant psycho. Wait, what? Hold on a second. What is this? Why does The Week have an article? Winds of Winter, a timeline of George R. R. Martin's progress. A running list of Game of Thrones authors updates. What? They're tracking this shit? The next book in George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones book series, The Winds of Winter, is one of the most highly anticipated fantasy novels ever. Okay, yeah. Martin may not finish the 6th book or even the 7th book, because he has taken side quests. Okay. June 10th. Martin has written 4 chapters of The Winds of Winter. Martin announced he had moved 2 completed chapters, told from Ariane's point of view. I can't even remember who that is. From A Dance with Dragons, the 5th book of the Song of Ice and Fire series, into the 6th book, Winds of Winter. He described this as good news for The Winds of Winter, and as he now had 4 chapters done for that one: an Arya, a Sansa, and 2 Arianes. I don't know who that is. July 2010. Martin has written more than 100 pages. April 2011. Martin predicts The Winds of Winters will take 3 years to finish. In April of 2011, he said Winds of Winter was going to take 3 years to finish. Missed that by a little bit. July 2011, Dance with Dragons is published. Oh, that came out in 2011. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember when that one came out. Okay, 2011. What season was that? That must have been like season 2. October 2012, Martin has written 400 pages. April 2015, okay, Martin hopes to release the book by 2016. January 2016, Martin reveals he's missed multiple deadlines in 2015. February 2016, Martin isn't writing anything else until Winds is finished. Okay, that was definitely a flagrant lie. January 2017, Martin predicts the books will be out this year. July 2017, Martin confirms he'll release a Westeros book in 2018. Okay. Quote unquote, a Westeros book. Martin told fans that he is still months away from finishing The Winds of Winter. Still months away in July of 2017. And despite his earlier statement that he wasn't writing anything else until Winds is done, he is working on the book Fire and Blood. Yes. Fire and Blood. I think I own that one too. No, I don't. I own the encyclopedia thing. I think Fire and Blood is the book that House of the Dragon is based off of. April 2018, Martin confirms Winds isn't coming in 2018. June 2018, Martin says Winds is still his top priority. November 2018, Fire and Blood is published. May 2019, Martin jokes fans can imprison me if he's not finished by July 2020. Oh boy. June 2020, Martin still has a long way to go. February 2021, Martin still has hundreds of more pages to write. March 2022, Martin admits he has made less progress in 2021. October 2022, Martin is 3/4 of the way done. December 2022, Martin has 400 or 500 pages left to write. From 3/4 of the way done to 400 or 500 pages. This is going to be like a 2,000-page tome. Oh, wait, hold on. Martin got more specific in an interview on Stephen Colbert's Tuning Out the News, saying he has written roughly 1,100 or 1,200 pages and need to write at least another 400 or 500 more. Yeah, I guess I was joking, but according to him, it's a 2,000-page tome. April 2023, Martin to produce a new Game of Thrones spinoff. Yes, and Eye of the Seven Kingdoms. When does that air? The Hedge Knight thing. I think I saw a trailer for it. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. You want to give me a release date? $2026. Okay, so it's going to be next year. November 2023, Martin hits another slump. July 2024, Martin scolds impatient fans. Okay, man, I have a lot of respect and empathy for George R.R. Martin, but considering that he's been like, honestly, this is a situation where saying nothing is your best friend. From July 2020 or from July 2011 all the way to like fucking what is this, May? Or no. Where was I? I missed my spot. July of 2024. From July of 2011 to July of 2024, you've just been like stringing along these fans with like, oh, I'm almost done. I promise I'm almost done. Maybe scalding the fans isn't like the best take. I think at this point he had started in the eyes of the fandom to kind of take on a little bit more of like a heel sort of persona. But yeah, this was also but in his defense though, this is also when people started to get a little bit out of control with their like, fuck you, George R. R. Martin, you're worth nothing if you haven't released these books yet kind of screeds. And by this point, I had long since been clocked out, so I guess I wasn't really super paying attention. September 24, Martin gets a few new pages done. October 24, Martin makes coy references to the unfinished novel. December 2024, Martin admits naysayers might be right. At this point, just say, like, I'm not going to finish it. April 2025, Martin calls The Winds of Winter the curse of my life. Ooh, that one is never coming out. The author made headlines for posing with recently born direwolf pups. The biotech startup Colossus Biosciences said that it utilized end-to-end de-extinction technology to extract DNA from a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull, resulting in the creation of 3 healthy direwolf puppies. What the fuck? Martin featured the extinct creatures heavily in his series and was ecstatic about the arrival of the pups. However, he soon faced mockery from fans on social media who pointed out that we, quote, that we got, quote, real dire wolves before the winds of winter. When he was asked about those comments in an interview with Time, Martin said the book was the curse of my life. There is no doubt the book is 13 years late, but he is still working on it. He has made some progress, and then other things divert my attention, and suddenly I have a deadline for one of the HBO shows. I have something else to do. Whew. Got real dire. I didn't even know we got real dire wolves. July 2025, so this is like the latest before this last thing, I guess. Martin hints that his book is nearing completion, so he's still saying it. And yet another bit of slim yet good news for fans. Martin insinuated in an interview with Penguin Random House that Winds of Winter had about 1,500 pages completed. Given that this would already make it the longest installment of the series, it seems the book may finally be nearing the finish line, but don't get your hopes up just yet. It's a challenging book, Martin said, and this is part of the issue. Some of the point of view characters' chapters are already finished, but I still need to interweave their narratives to create one cohesive plot. It was also revealed that Martin will be producing a film adaptation of Elden Ring. Yes, I did hear that too. The popular fantasy video game franchise that he helped create the world for. Much of how much involvement Martin will have as a producer is unclear, although he described the film as kick-ass at a blog post with first-rate director Alex Garland at the helm. So while The Winds of Winter may still be a priority, Elden Ring is just one more can of fuel to add to Martin's fantasy bonfire. Damn. July 20th. They just released this article then, huh? They read his ass to filth, man. Updated 2 weeks ago. They read his ass to filth. All right, George R. R. Martin. I'm not gonna be as crass as that lady, but if you are as recently as 2 weeks ago still tossing the carrot on the stick out there to your aggravated fan base, hey, it's almost done. It's almost done, guys. Then I don't know, dude. you gotta recognize you're playing with fire. Fans can be ruthless. It's a two-way street. Fans can be ruthless, man. They're gonna come at you. They're gonna come at you. So if that's how you want it, if I were you, George, this is unsolicited advice from me. If I were you, I would just shut the fuck up about it. Just release it whenever it's done. Just do the shadow release, like. I'm gonna go to Taco Bell. Hey, look, it's George R. R. Martin. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing out and about, George? Oh, I'm going to Taco Bell. Oh, Taco Bell. That's weird. I thought you would have liked a little bit more of a boutique-y Tex-Mex place. Well, you know, Taco Bell was what I had in college when I was writing the first book in my series, and now that I just finally released Dreamless or Winds of Winter, I thought I'd celebrate with some Taco Bell. It's like, oh, okay, wait, what? Wait, hold on. What did you just say? What did you just say? They'd be like, see you guys later. Boop, speed off. Like that's how you should handle it. Just radio silent and then just like a fucking ninja drop at some point in the future. Lord almighty. Okay, that was one thing I wanted to talk about. Oh man. 43 minutes. These podcasts I've been keeping generally around an hour. Sometimes I guess the last one kind of went a little bit over. I don't know how long this is gonna go. I guess an hour is a pretty tight, condensed period of time for a podcast, right? Right? Honestly, I don't even listen to that many podcasts anymore. I listen to Bill Burr's, which was the inspiration for this one. But other than that, not really. So I guess I'm just kind of meandering in my own weird way. Oh yeah, I just saw this on my my YouTube thing. I feel a bad way about this. I got to be honest with you. Voice Critical dropped a video talking about some streamer who, I guess, I mean, obviously he streams on Kick if he's doing this degenerate shit. But this is worse than the other, in my view, it's worse than a lot of the other degenerate shit. you're talking about dudes streaming on Kick. You're talking about guys that are like assaulting people on the streets, or they're hiring sex workers and then like just banging them in front of kids, or Jesus, who knows what they're fucking doing. They're sharing porn with kids. They're doing all sorts of weird, crazy, fucked up things on Kick. So that's not anything new, but this is particularly gruesome. He shared he was talking about a video from a Kick streamer who had a penchant for basically abusing his dog on stream. And that's bad enough. That's bad in and of itself. Like, that's super fucking shitty. But honestly, when I was watching that video, I felt more annoyed that Charlie would cut content off of that, because it seemed to me like, it's one thing if you're going, oh, this is a deranged Kick streamer that's like walking around on the street just like slapping drinks out of people's hands, and his bodyguard is next to him, so he thinks he can get away with it. Okay, fine. That dude's a piece of shit. That's one thing. And you can have your conversations about, Kick is insane, this guy's a fucking asshole, etc., etc. But when you have video of like some dude that's like kicking his dog and like doing all sorts of other fucked up shit and saying fucked up shit to his dog or his girlfriend and all of that, and like you're cutting content to it in the same vein that you would cut content to like, look at this text message that this guy sent to this girl that he was asking out, like, there's something far more like insidious about it, because it's like you're using the abuse of a dog for rage bait. Like, I was trying to give that video the benefit of the doubt, because I'm a fan of Moist Critical. I watch his shit. I was hoping it was maybe it's a thin hope, but I was hoping there would be some kind of a sane call to action. There were call to actions in the comments, believe me. The comments had calls to action for sure. They doxed that motherfucker in a hurry. They doxed that motherfucker in a hurry, and there was some calls to action. But I was hoping that Charlie himself would at least be like, not do that, not go that far. No. But like any kind of like, report this guy to Kick, get this guy banned off of Kick for doing this shit, report this guy to the authorities, get his dog taken away, contact this animal control thing here. I guess the guy is based out of, I don't know, Toronto, somewhere in Toronto, if the insane comment Latin doxing campaign is to be believed. Any kind of call to action that would like help the situation. But there wasn't. It was just treated like, hey, this is a wacky piece of content. Look at this guy beat his dog. Oh man, I just wanted to talk about that. See ya. It's like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Why? You just, like, Jesus Christ, man. Am I gonna have to put a filter on Penguin Zero content now? I'm gonna be sitting at my office working, and it's gonna be like, well, here's a new video for you guys about this wacky streamer on Kick who decided to film a snuff film. Let's watch it. And it's just like a fucking snuff film. And he's like, I just want to talk about that for a bit. See ya. It's like, God damn, dude. What are we doing here? Not everything needs to have content cut out of it. Sometimes shit just needs to be like, hey, get the authorities involved on this guy. He's beating the shit out of his dog, man. He's beating the shit out of his dog. Like, nothing else really matters beyond that point. And like, it just gave me a really bad taste in my mouth. I didn't like that. Like, not everything needs to be cut for content, man. I don't even like thinking about it, honestly. Maybe this is like, I don't know what, I mean, is this the influence of all my white women friends that I feel like anytime I see a dog not being treated as anything other than the best buddy ever, like, I get offended, I get angry, I get outraged, I want justice for the dog. Like, is that what that is? Am I insane for having this take? I might be. I'm willing to take criticism. I might be crazy for having this kind of reaction to Moist Critical just uploading a video like that. But it would be, and even in the context of just reacting to a dude doing an insane thing, it would be one thing if you were just talking about it and you were just like, the streamer is this. I'm not going to show you because it's kind of fucked up. But he did this, he does this, he does this. This is the other kinds of stuff that this guy gets up to. And you just show like his other non-animal abuse streaming videos to get you a sense of what kind of an asshole this dude is. He's done stuff like that in the past. And like in that respect, okay, I got you. But in trying to, and the reason why I feel this way is because I tried to give him a bit of the doubt. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to skip over, you know, at the start of the video, I was like, I'm just going to skip over the parts where, you know, you could see the guy like kicking the dog or like grabbing the dog and flinging him around. I'm going to skip over that because, you know, maybe in other parts of the video, it delves into something different, or, you know, there's the call to action from him that I'm hoping for, whatever. And I did that. And then I had to do it again. And then in the middle of the video, oh, it's more. I had to do it again. And then towards the end of the video, oh, there's more. I had to do it again. And I realized that I just basically had to skip over all of these clips of this dude beating the shit out of a dog pretty much until the very end of his video. And then there was no, like, call to action to, like, resolve it or do anything about it. And then it was just like, that's about it. See ya. I was like, whoa, oh, god damn it. God damn it. I just fucking scrubbed through this damn psycho video for no real reason whatsoever. And I think that's probably contributed. I mean, I'm not saying it's the fucking whole ass reason. There are plenty of psychos on the internet who will do their own thing of their own volition, but honestly, that probably contributed a little bit to the vigilante justice being meted out in the comments section. Posting the dude's full address and government name had all the people being like, let's go, boys, we ride, make it happen, and all this kind of shit. You know, like, it just seemed like the absolute worst, most disgusting kind of rage bait, man. And I was not a fan of that. I was not a fan of that at all. It put a real sour taste in my mouth. And honestly, I love Moist Critical. I like all his videos and shit. That was really the first thing he's done that has made me be like, whoa. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm the weirdo here. Maybe I'm the weirdo. I'm willing to accept that I am, but that kind of put me in a little bit of a foul mood for a decent stretch of time after that video came across my feed. Gah. Not everything needs to be cut into content, man. I guess maybe that's you know what? I guess that's my problem. That is my problem. It is me. I don't think the reason why I'm such a bad content creator, with respects to the pretty much zero growth on my other channel and all of that, is because I'm not content brained enough. Like, I don't have it in me to be a content demon on that level where I just, you know, well, first of all, a lot of that also involves just striking lucky, hitting a good moment and hitting while the ore is hot. And I am famously a late adapter to things, so I think there's a mix of that sort of stuff too. But also, I just don't have the content demon brain that way. I'm much more of a, I'd rather not do that. That seems pretty fucking foul. Rather than, oh, I'm sure this is going to drive a lot of engagement. It's kind of interesting, the weird, obnoxious things people do to drive engagement. I saw a TikTok today where there was somebody that was like purporting to show you an easy way to make like shrimp sushi. And he had like this little kind of a tray sort of thing. It was like it was carved out like a little holder for where you put the seaweed, and it's kind of in like a half bowl, and then you put he put rice in there and smash the rice out evenly, and then you put shrimp in there and you put rice on top of that, etc. Then you fold it, you cut it, and there were little grooves in the side of the little tray to let you cut these sushi rolls evenly, kind of like a little sushi cheat sheet. But and it was like normal, innocuous video, nothing really special or fancy about it, except the shrimp that he put in still had the tails on them. Like, he didn't shell them at all. He just put full shelled shrimps in there. And I knew it was happening. I knew it was going on. I click into the comments, and of course everyone is like, with the tails? OMG, is somebody going to tell him about the tails? And I was like, guys, he left the tails on for engagement. That's all. Like, all that was just engagement farming. And it's such a weird thing that something as simple as that, like, ooh, I'm gonna annoy people by keeping the tails on. Like, that's enough to like drive clicks, and people are like, oh, I'm gonna click, 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 I'm gonna... And I was a part of it too, admittedly. Even if I knowingly went in, even if I was the fish that saw the shiny hook and was like, well, this is gonna be my doom, I'm gonna bite it anyways. I totally did. I clicked into the comments, I read them, and I left my comment basically saying, guys, this is just a way to farm engagement. If the shrimps were properly shelled, then you wouldn't be here in the comments right now. So that is that. It's weird that we just have this economy of annoyance. Everything is just about annoying the fuck out of people now. That's the only thing that seems to have value on the internet. And like, the internet is the center of everything. The internet is the center of everything, and the only thing that has value on the internet is annoying the fuck out of people. That's exactly why we have the fucking president that we have right now. It's why we have a lot of the Congress and the government that we have right now. It's why so much of our political discourse is geared around owning the blank right now, whether you're owning the libs by shit talking wokes or trans or whatever the fuck you think you're doing, or if you're owning fucking MAGA by posting fell for it again memes over and over, or whatever else you're doing. And, you know, there is something to say about Gavin Newsom, his press office, basically mocking Trump's style of tweet by spamming the Twitter feed with admittedly funny mock Trump tweets from the perspective of Gavin Newsom. All of that is still just like the currency of the internet, the currency of our most important structure in our modern society is annoying people, annoying the living fuck out of people, making people angry because you want their engagement, you want their something or other. And even if you're a MAGA person and you just want to trigger the libs, if that's even still a statement that they say nowadays, like, it's not even about, like, a part of it is like a lot of people that just want to foster a community. They want to belong to a community that makes them feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves, and like they have an actual impact on the world around them. And there really isn't a whole lot of mechanisms out in life to give people that feeling. There definitely are, but it isn't. A lot of those things aren't coupled with the ease of typing on a computer and the weird satisfaction of knowing that something you said had some power over somebody. Whether that power is good, like you said something and somebody was like, oh, that makes me feel so much better, thank you. Or whether it's bad, where you say something and somebody is like, you fucking bitch, you motherfucker, I'm gonna fucking find you, fucking kill you. And like, either way, you're exhibiting some form of power that makes you feel good, right? I think Louis C.K. used to have a bit about this back in the day, before he got canceled, where he was talking about his daughter sending a shitty text to somebody or whatever, and he was like, you send that off like you're a mother, you're an ugly blah blah blah, you send it, and then he was like, that felt good, you just kind of have that good in your tummy feeling, you kind of want to do that again. But like, if you actually had to say something like that to somebody to their face, and then you see their reaction, you see them get hurt, you see them feel sad, then you don't have that ooh, you don't have that you suddenly have like a ooh, that I made somebody feel that way. Like, I brought somebody to sadness with my words. Like, I feel bad about, well, if you have empathy, I feel bad about that. And then you feel a certain way about how your output impacts other people. And the internet has eradicated all of that. And the only thing that seems to have currency now is vitriol, generating vitriol. So like, for a lot of people on any side of the political spectrum, honestly, but let's be real, it's much more so on the right than the left. Like, the idea that you just form these communities around angering your political opponents, just making them feel bad, making them feel mad, making them feel whatever you want to feel. And like, the feeling that you get from that is the currency that you trade amongst one another. and that's the community that you're building up, that's what you feel a part of, that's what makes you feel like you're a part of something that's bigger than yourself and that's contributing good to the world, like, it's fucking awful. Like, that's an awful fucking thing. But it is the currency of the internet. Like, and I'm not, and I know that sounds insanely cynical and nihilistic. And hey, let's be real, it is cynical, it is nihilistic, but it's also rooted in some truth. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people on the internet that don't output in that, and still find incredible levels of success and whatnot. They're out there too. They're out there too. But let's be real about social media. Social media, in its early years, it tried to curtail becoming an industry that traffics in outrage and in annoyance. They used to even have earnest efforts to get rid of bots. But in the era of Trump, and since the era of Trump, it's gone the total opposite way. They fully embrace bots. Even like they love that bots populate these platforms. They love that people just spend all their it goes more one way than the other. They love that right wingers more than anything else triggers people by talking about white supremacist shit or anything else, anti LGBT or whatever it might be. They will tolerate to a degree people, depending on the platform, people on the left returning in favor. Maybe not on Facebook, but in other platforms, they tolerate it to some degree. But it is that back and forth now that is the primary trafficker of, and it isn't just political either. Like, it can be anything. It can be literally anything. It can be some. I mean, TikTok, Twitter is full of it, where it's just like you're just scrolling and it's just some random ass video, fear buck video of like some dude running a red light and while like filming himself running a red light while like chugging a 40 or whatever, and you know, barely missing somebody riding a bike, you know, clipping somebody riding a bike. And that's the video. And it's like, what the fuck, man? What is this? Or fight videos. You're scrolling and it's like two dudes just going to blows, you know, or any other kind of random, crazy, insane engagement bait. Lots of engagement farming. And you're not going to farm engagement with anything tepid. If you're farming engagement, it's going to be something extreme. So, I mean, that's just the currency of the internet. And it's unfortunate that that's what it is. I don't know how to reverse that. I feel like Blue Sky is kind of like what social media used to try to do back in its early inception, which is weird because it's weird to go to and watch it and look and observe Blue Sky from the context of what everything that's not Blue Sky is, because it does make it feel more Jamestowny. Like Blue Sky, not to knock my Blue Sky pals out there. I know Royal and Nate hang out on Blue Sky exclusively now. I don't think either one of them are anywhere else. But there is a weird sort of bubble that seems kind of like its own little universe. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's for the better. And certainly in the context of Twitter, where 76% of Twitter's activity comes from bots. So keep that in mind every time you see something awful, and the first comment under that awful thing is just some random ass account being like, this is actually good. You know, that's more than likely to be a bot. But yeah, I just think that maybe, I don't know. That moist critical thing just kind of put a real bad taste in my mouth. We don't, and he, in particular, doesn't need to traffic in this kind of shit. He's popular. He's already got his bag. He's got plenty of people that love him. And I love the videos he does where he talks about, like, dating fails. People that are, like, you know, sending text messages about breakups and the breakups going poorly and all that sort of stuff. That's great. You know, all that stuff's great. And I guess he bought a farm and he's going to build a forge or something on it. That sounds like it could be cool. Like, he does a lot of cool stuff. You don't need to do this, man. You don't need to engagement bait or rage bait off of a dude beating his fucking dog. like let's try to keep minimal standards here. Let's try to keep minimal standards here is all I'm asking. Oh man. And with respects to Gavin Newsom's tweet, look, I don't like Gavin Newsom. I've got about 3 or 4 potential 2028 candidates I'd rank ahead of him based off of policy alone. But right now, he's the only motherfucker that seems to have the appropriate level of smoke for fighting against fascists, basically. And it's unfortunate that it's just him with this level of smoke. A part of it is because California has always been a popular right-wing whipping boy, so it kind of makes California fighting back a little bit more intense. But at the same time, he just also has the smoke. So I'm on board with it. I don't have a problem. And there are people out there that think it's cringe. Some of his tweets are cringe, and maybe that's true, but I also don't give a fuck. Say all the heinous shit you want, so long as like you're doing it in a way that really, and this is the important part about this bullshit fascist era we're in right now. The only thing that gives these guys power is treating them with any level of legitimacy. If you look at Trump and you're like, oh, he's scary, he's an authoritarian, he just wants to be a dictator and a strongman, oh, blah, blah, that gives him power, that gives him juice. That's why he does all the shit that he does, because he needs you to think that. The only way to defang him is to bring him low, is to make sure that you know that he is a worm. He is a lowly little worm squiggling down the line. He can't do fucking shit, you know? This is the dumb motherfucker who thought that selling steaks out of a sharper image was a smart idea. Is it any surprise that he gets dog-walked by Vladimir Putin? Is it any surprise? That was never going to end any other way. He's got American servicemen down on their knees, rolling out a literal red carpet for fucking Vladimir Putin, who then, in turn, gets into Donald Trump's car like it was his fucking car. They had a car for Moscow diplomats, for the Moscow entourage, or I forget the actual word, contingent entourage, whatever you want to call them. They had a car with Moscow plates for Vladimir Putin to get in, and he was like, nope, I'm getting in this fucking car. Like, what's the security protocol? Are we talking about OPSEC here? What kind of documents? I'm imagining that they weren't expecting him to get in the car. I guess if they were expecting, maybe we're also operating from the standpoint that, you know, these guys aren't in syncopato with the Kremlin, but operating in good faith that they aren't in syncopato with the Kremlin. I would imagine if they thought that he was going to get in the car, they wouldn't have any sensitive material in there. But fucking what if they didn't think he was getting in the car and he just got right up in there with all those fucking secret materials? Crazy shit. And then he didn't give Trump shit. He didn't give him a single solitary fucking thing. He just went there, acted like he was the president of the US, and then just bolted. And now today, you had Trump, 6 months after weirdly dressing down Vladimir Zelensky, talking about, you don't have the cards. You don't have the cards. Did you even say thank you? Why aren't you wearing a suit, sir? Why aren't you wearing a suit? Zelensky showed up with the fucking European posse behind him, and then they were all like, oh, your suit looks so great, Zelensky. Your suit looks amazing. That's a great suit. They were fucking ball washing. They were shaking hands. They were talking about fucking security guarantees and all sorts of other shit. And it's like, this feels desperate. I mentioned last podcast, I mentioned that Trump always does this thing where he comes in, he says he's going to change something, and he breaks it, and then he either breaks it or he actually doesn't do anything. And if he does break it, he reverts it back to doing it the way that it was done before. And if he doesn't do anything, he just leaves it the way it is. And at the end of it, he says he fixed it. And then everything is good because he's a great leader. He fixed it. There was a problem, but he solved it, even though nothing functionally changed. Maybe in the interim there was a period of tumult, but beyond that, nothing changed. And I kind of feel like I said that was happening, though. I said that was likely to happen with the DC thing. Feel like it's starting to happen with how we're treating the Ukraine situation. It seems now like he's kind of starting to come back around to, you know, maybe these European alliances, Aren't the dog water contracts we thought they were? Maybe it makes some sense to kind of back this campaign. Maybe, and I'm not saying it does, but it seems like there's a lot of fucking Joe Biden coming out of Donald Trump's mouth lately. When Fox News was covering the aftermath of the Putin meeting, they were trying to talk about like how NATO is stronger now because Finland joined, and there's all these other nations that want to join, and et cetera, et cetera. And they were trying to juice it up like that was because of Donald Trump. And honestly, like, that's Joe Biden. That's what Joe Biden was campaigning on back when he was still campaigning. He was talking about how NATO is stronger than ever. We'd have Finland and Denmark or whoever else joined. He was talking about all that kind of shit when he was campaigning. Like, they literally started turning directly into Joe Biden at the end of that Putin meeting because they had literally nothing else to wave as like some kind of a victory. So like they're slowly just turning into Joe Biden because there's nothing. They can't do anything. They literally can't do anything. They can't accomplish anything. They can't bargain for anything. So like, it's just these people are not. They're not competent. They're not capable. They're not smart, strong men. But if you treat them like they are, they will act like they are. They will take whatever they think they can get away with taking, so long as you treat them like they have that ability. This is what I like at a macro level about the Newsom tweets, is that you've got to bring these fucking people low. They're dumb motherfuckers. They're sitting there talking like Joe Biden now. Because that's the best that they've got. Is to talk like Joe Biden, to act like Joe Biden, to turn into Joe Biden. Like Donald Trump is Joe Biden shaking hands with Vladimir Zelensky with the EU allies around him. That was Joe Biden. Trump came in promising to do something different. And the only thing he did different was get nationally embarrassed by fucking Putin. And now he's got to go back to being Joe Biden. It's ridiculous. So never give these guys legitimacy. Never give these guys legitimacy. Talk them down, dress them down at every given possible moment, delegitimize them at every conceivable chance that you can get, because the only way that they could combat these attempts to delegitimize them is by coming through, is by doing something beneficial and tangible for people that would make them not believe the attempts to belittle them, right? Like, if someone is consistently coming to your house with like home cooked meals that are delicious, smothered pork chops tonight, huh? With mashed potatoes and green beans, awesome. And then the next night, spaghetti bolognese. This is amazing. And they just keep coming to your house and giving you delicious food. And they're just like, oh, I just like to cook. I'm a single guy. I don't know how to cook for just myself, because like I grew up with a big family, so my mom, like, all the recipes my mom taught me were like batch cooking for my brothers and sisters and shit. But I'm living on my own now, so I'm making these things for me, but I got so many leftovers, so I'll just give some leftovers to you, okay? If you don't mind. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And this guy's cool, he's funny, he's giving you all this delicious food, and then like somebody comes over and is like, yeah, well, you know what, that guy hates Puerto Ricans. Are you really gonna be friends with someone that fucking hates Puerto Ricans? You're probably not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna eat that guy's food anymore. Like, the guy's coming over every other night. He's giving you delicious food. You've saved so much money. You don't have to grocery shop nearly as much because this guy's fucking got you covered most nights. And then sometimes he comes over, you buy the 24-pack. That's how you pay. You buy the 24-pack of beer, you watch football, etc. It's cool. And none of the times that you've talked over either a meal or watching football has he ever said anything about Puerto Ricans. But you got this other guy who you don't fucking know telling you, oh, that guy hates Puerto Ricans. So like, what, are you going to stop taking his food? You going to believe that this guy fucking hates Puerto Ricans? Maybe it'll give you a reason to be suspicious. Sure, that might happen. But you're probably still going to fucking take the smothered pork chops. You're probably still going to hang out and drink beer and watch football with the guy because you have like a fucking tangible relationship with them. You have like this experience that has been beneficial, a net positive in your life that you're not going to take lightly or disregard, and it's going to go directly counter to the narrative that this other fucking weirdo is telling you. Like, that's the difference. The only way that these guys could ever overcome this a concerted, strong, forceful campaign narrative of making these guys worms, showing these guys that they are beneath worms even, is if they did something that they are physically incapable of doing, and that is coming through for people. They're never going to raise the minimum wage. They're objectively against that. They're never going to fucking promote unions or do anything that's going to make workplaces better or safer for people. They're never going to do anything that's going to make healthcare affordable. They're about to kick a bunch of fucking people off their healthcare plans even. So that's about to go total opposite direction. They're never going to do anything that's going to, and they've already fired a shit ton of people. People are losing their jobs left and right as a result. You've already got situations where farmers, they don't have, like, they're losing out on trade opportunities because of US aid or because of tariffs here and there. Like, they are physically, and this is why they have to do shit like, we're only 7 months into this shit, and already they're talking about redistricting Texas so that they could get 5 seats. They're in danger of having a 5-seat deficit 6 months into, like, the first year of a 4-year term. They're this desperate. You already have Trump talking about, we got to get rid of mail-in votes, even though this motherfucker mail-in votes in Florida. We got to get rid of mail-in votes. You're that desperate already? 7 months in? They know. They know the writing is on the wall on this shit. They know that they are fucking doomed in a democratic society, because not only have they failed to deliver anything, not only is there no opportunity for them to deliver anything based on their policies, but they have completely, and hopefully not, but probably irreversibly, irrevocably destroyed everything. So it's going to get bad, and they will be delegitimized just by the virtue of their policies, let alone by being ridiculed and made low by Gavin Newsom's tweets or anybody else that might be, inspired by Gavin Newsom's tweets. So in that respects, cringe as some of them might be, I fully support them. Tweet away, Gavin Newsom. And everybody else that wants to shit on these guys and make them the lowly worms they are. And that redistricting thing's got to happen, because Texas started their second special session on Friday. The Democrats returned to the state after the first special session but the Republicans started up the second one. So, it's got to happen. There's not going to be any kind of avoiding it, to be honest with you. So hopefully the Democratic states that are talking about engaging in their own redistricting efforts aren't just blowing smoke. Hopefully they're going full steam ahead with whatever they can do too, because it's got to happen here. But the second special session started to talk about, they're going to do the Hill County flood response and relief initiatives. They're talking still about regulating THC, even though a lot of conservatives in this state are like, don't do that. We don't want you touching that. They're still going to probably do that. They're trying to limit property tax hikes, which, everybody across the board is in favor of that here. Liberals, conservatives, progressives, generally speaking, they're all pretty much across the board in favor of limiting property tax hikes. But the problem is we don't have a state income tax, and we have all of these costly projects, mostly public works projects like building roads and shit that need funding, and the only mechanism for funding is property tax, unfortunately, or a sales tax. It's all tax on poor people, so it's got to hit us one way or another. And all of this so that we don't have rail in this fucking state. All of this so that we don't have rail. It's all just to fucking fix roads and build more roads and then fix those roads, while those other roads we just fix crumble, and wasting more and more money on that shit. There's some bathroom bill shit they're trying to do to fucking the same bathroom bill shit they've been trying to do for who knows how many years at this point, but they'll probably get away with it this time. Abortion pills, cracking down on morning after and all that, or Plan B. It's Texas, and Roe v. Wade was overturned, so there's only really one way that's going to go, and that's inevitable, unfortunately. So shit's got to get really, again, harkening back to not being able to deliver anything tangibly good for people, shit's going to get really bad on that front too. And then they're going to eliminate STAR, which is a standardized test in Texas. they're pushing to get rid of the standardized test because standardized testing is I'm of two ways about it. One way, I don't think that it's very useful. Another way, I think it's probably the only way that the American education system, as it's structured today, can create any kind of educational regimen that puts at least a minimum standard on what kids have to know before graduating. But again, that's within our current structure. Our current structure is not great. So I'm of two ways about that. I don't have kids. I don't have a really strong preference. That doesn't mean I shouldn't be interested in education, but there's so many other things that we should be doing before we start talking about eliminating standardized tests, to be honest. So many schools are underfunded in general. We don't have enough schools. We don't have enough teachers. We need to incentivize people to become teachers. In order to incentivize people to become teachers in Texas, we have to, A, pay them a lot more. B, make Texas a place that people would want to actually come move to and live to. And it's hard to convince people, hey, come move to Texas and live in Texas when you do shit like cracking down on Plan B and the morning after pill, bathroom bills, so that people have to fucking show cops their dicks if they want to use the bathroom, or show cops their pussies if they want to use the bathroom. That sounds fucking fun. Who wants to move to a state where you got to do that shit? You can't fucking smoke. You're going to be regulating THC. So you've got incredible educators from all across the country that could come here if they don't mind the occasional fucking shakedown by, APD, although APD doesn't really care about that anymore. But the Williamson County Police will certainly shake your fucking ass down if they think you have like a half-smoked joint in your fucking car. And then, like, in addition to just having, like, shitty fucking public services in general, have fun being stuck in traffic, 2 hours a day because either a semi flipped and that road that it flipped on is the only way in and out of a city, or there's endless amounts of construction that never gets completed. There was an article in Austin KXAN News about how there was a street that had a lane closed for 2 years with no work done on it at all. And on the face of it, that sounds absurd. But then I think about, like, how many roads have I driven on this city where it's just natural that there are fucking cones and shit that block it off. And it's been that way for, like, at least a year. And it's growing more and more. Like, the entirety of I-35 is all under construction. From the top of Austin all the way down to fucking Kyle. It's just nothing but construction. There isn't a single solitary stretch of that road that isn't under construction. And then so many of the feeder roads to it under construction. All of it's just under construction. And none of it is going to do anything to make traffic actually better. I feel like that's part of a shell game where you don't ever actually have to make traffic better. You just have to look like you're trying to make traffic better. And maybe that's why these roads never get finished. But yeah, like, it's hard to attract people. Oh, and also, by the way, it's like 105 degrees for like 3 of the months. Your electric bill's gonna fucking skyrocket because there's no real regulation over that. But then again, it's also 300, it's not 300, it's like 105 degrees. Your AC is just going to grind nonstop. So even if there was solid regulation, it's going to be capped to, or the floor is going to be elevated in those hot as fuck months. And then on top of that, you just got to deal with, fucking living in Texas. So it's hard to, if you want to start with education, funding these schools, building more schools, modernizing the older schools, making sure they're good places for students to learn and actually grow and experience and feel safe. And that's another thing is you're coming to Texas to go to a school. It's like, what, did John Wick look appealing to you? Is that what's going on here? Like, yeah, you're not gonna have the best educational outcomes if fucking Uvalde is gonna crack out at a given moment, and then your governor is gonna be like, well, we just need to teach the teachers how to shoot. Is that what you want to do? You want to learn how to fucking shoot as a teacher? So there's plenty of other things we need to do in this state to make education better. And none of these motherfuckers are going to do anything close to approximating it. So, this special session is going to be a fucking waste. And it's going to redistrict. the sad thing is, one of our congressmen here in Austin, Lloyd Doggett, 78 years old, fantastic congressman, solid progressive, great progressive record. And then we have, in a district next to his, Greg Kazar, who is another fantastic progressive. He's like in his 30s. He's the leader of the House Progressive Caucus in the U.S. House of Representatives. Fantastic dude. If the redistricting happens the way the Republicans want, those districts will be merged, and Greg Kazar and Lloyd Doggett will be forced to run against each other. Now, obviously, the easiest thing to do in this situation would be for 78-year-old Lloyd Doggett to step aside and let the 34-year-old Greg Kazar basically take the mantle. But it doesn't sound like that's what Lloyd Doggett wants to do. It sounds like if push comes to shove, he is willing to run a campaign against Greg Kazar, which is a bad move on his part. It's unfortunate that that's the move that he's gearing towards. I hope he thinks differently of it. I hope people talk him out of that if it comes to that. You've got to let the young talent take over, man. And that's a whole other, maybe the next podcast, I'll do a whole other ass thing about the Democrats' unwillingness to let young progressives take the reins. Lloyd Doggett isn't even like a shitty dim the way that like Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer are, but he is old, and there is a problem with old people clinging on to power beyond when it's necessary. Part of the reason why that quote-unquote big beautiful bill was even allowed to pass was because 3 House Democrats died in office because they were old and sick. You know, we got to get past this shit. We have to be smart about building our bench and knowing when to retire our elders, so that our bench, or so that, you know, our seats are never threatened and our bench can continue to grow. Because what happens with, and I don't want to get conspiratorial, but what happens if Greg Kazar loses to Lloyd Doggett? What happens then? Like, what's he gonna do? I mean, he'll still operate within the community. I'm sure he's that kind of a guy. He came up in the DSA, so he'll be around. But Greg, I mean, he's just gonna sit there and work as like an organizer until Lloyd Doggett dies in office, and then what? There's gonna be a special election. What happens if Lloyd Doggett dies in office? And then another big, beautiful bill is allowed to pass because him and 4 other old-ass Democrats died in office. Like, why risk that? Like, why risk that? We've seen that happen too many times. It started with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Why do this? Like, why do this all over again? So that's something to keep an eye on, I guess, from a Texas perspective. It's really annoying. Really annoying. Everything's annoying. Everything's annoying. Republicans are annoying. Wannabe strongmen who are actually just worms beneath the dirt, but who are propped up as strong men by people that don't know how to fight against them. Those guys are annoying. Engagement bait, rage bait's annoying. Cutting content out of crazy animal abuse rage bait is annoying. George R. Martin nerds are annoying. Disrespectful, I guess I should say. Disrespectful, obnoxiously disrespectful George R. Martin nerds are annoying. And you know what? Pork steaks that give you painful gas is annoying. And not having a real summer vacation like you used to have when you were a kid, when you were a grown adult, that's probably peak annoying. I bet you if everything I just said was annoying, all happened the way that it currently happens, but I had a 3-month vacation like a kid in Okinawa, probably wouldn't mind any of that stuff that much, honestly. Probably wouldn't be here talking to you about it. I'd be on a beach somewhere. I'd be at the pool. You know, I'd be playing night basketball with my friends. So, all things in perspective, I guess, as I wrap up another episode of the You Must Be Bored podcast. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. I appreciate it. I am going to go look at some pictures so I can have a good reference for a
Gauche.
painting. See you guys next time. Take it easy.
Gauche.